Alrighty guys, Via here coming back at you with the next episode of the potential career mode young signings. Now, the career mode stats and potential and that sort of stuff is out on Foothead now. Obviously I picked these guys before that all sort of came out, but hopefully that'll show that maybe I've got some of these right. I'm not sure. Zivkovic that I picked in, I think it was the 19s or 18s. I think it might have been the 18s. He actually got an 88 potential. That it was a striker with 77 finishing, so crazy stuff. So there is a lot of people. There's a lot of young kids in this one. I think we got 49 people in the 20-year-old, so I probably could have cut it down a little bit. There's a few that aren't the greatest that I'm going to try and get through this as quick as possible. Otherwise, this video will be huge. But there's a few that aren't the greatest. I'll probably just have a look at them quickly and sort of explain why I put them in. So we'll get straight into it. The first one is Julian Dessart. I pretty much put him in just for his all-round stats. So he's 20, obviously. His two-star skills isn't the greatest, but his stamina, his balance is good. He's pretty much got all-round stats. Give him a few years, he might be a decent enough holding midfielder. His strength isn't the greatest, but it's not the worst either, and his tackling is okay. So give him a few years, he might be okay. Now we've got Ryan Thomas here. I've pretty much put him in for his balance and that sort of stuff, and his four-star skills as well. Good to see a New Zealand player that's actually doing fairly well. Obviously, you got Marco Rojas in the Bundesliga that's doing pretty well, but his dribbling's fairly good. His pace isn't the worst, so it's okay. His vision's fairly decent as well, so pretty much just bomb him up the wing, use his four-star skills, do a lot of dribbling, and that's pretty much how you'll get the best out of him anyway. So we'll move on, and now this guy is a guy that I'm a little bit contentious about throwing in or not. I know about him. I'm not sure. In this series, it's pretty much all about throwing in a lot of people that people don't know about, if you know what I mean. Like all those career modes like Picalis and that sort of stuff I've left out, obviously, otherwise you would have seen it in the last episode, that sort of stuff. But this guy I knew about. I think a few other people would have, but I don't know about a lot of people, so I'll put him in just in case. Obviously he's a boss. Look at that, look at the strength, the jumping, the pace. This tackling isn't the greatest for a silver, but he's only 20, so that'll get a lot better with the strength and the jumping. He's an absolute boss, so definitely try Daniel Amati. He's very, very solid. And we'll move on straight away. I'll try and do this as quick as possible. I do have Saul. Very solid defensive sort of stats. Those tackles are great. Tackling is great. Sorry, passing's fairly good as well on him. Only two-star skills, but he should be a fairly good holding midfielder going forward. Now we'll move on, and this guy's a little bit of a weird one. 75 free kick accuracy on a centre back. Decent shot power as well, but his strength and tackling are very good, and his pace is pretty decent as well. So curve. So it's just going to be a nice free kick taking, long shot taking centre back. And some of the comments on this card on Foothead, he's got people saying he should have more free kicks accuracy and stuff like that. So he must be really good at free kicks. But with the medium work rates and all the defensive stats, he should be a fairly good centre back in the defensive side of things as well. So definitely one to have a look at. Now this guy's in here pretty much for his pace. Only 2 pace is crazy. Then he's got decent jumping, agility, and balance as well, up on the physical stats there as well. Strength isn't good, so you're going to have to try and put it over the top or put him through with a through ball. If a strong centre back comes up at him, he's going to get smashed off the ball very easily. But 66 finishing isn't the greatest, but pretty much just use this guy for his pace. So try and put him through. He should be half decent. He's got 3-star skills as well. Now I'll move on, and we do have Luke James. Now this guy's a little bit of an interesting one. I could have probably left this guy out, but I just put him in here. Obviously his physical stats are pretty decent for a 20-year-old, especially that 83 strength. So if you put him through, he's fairly quick as well. He'll get obviously he'll get into the 80s for his pace eventually. He's already got 68 finishing, so not too bad. Could be a nice striker for a lower league team. And we'll move on, and we do have Alexander Mitrovic. Now this guy is sort of the same thing, a little bit better obviously in the finishing side of things. So he's got 78 finishing, 81 shot power, 81 strength. Not quite as quick as Luke James, but he's got a little bit better stats like skill stats and stuff like that. So definitely another one to have a look at. Now we've got Bjorn Engels here. Now he is a fairly decent centre back by the look of it. Not the best that we've had a look at, but with the 76 strength and the decent tackling stats that he's got. Sorry, as I yawn, and his pace isn't the worst either, so his passing's decent as well. You got the 72 long passing, 66 short passing, so to get the ball out from the back as well if you want to start a counter-attack, very, very solid. So definitely one to have a look at. Now we'll move straight on to Ricardo Horta. Now this is a left winger. He's only got 3-star skills, which I was kind of a little bit sad about. But his shooting's fairly good. As you can see, that's 71 finishing on a 71 rated left winger. So he's got 3-star skills, as I said. The pace isn't too bad, 78 pace. Shot power is fairly solid at 70 as well. So bomb him down the wing, have a shot with him. He should be fairly decent. And we'll move on to Al Muwaled. Now, this guy's pace is the main thing, obviously. He's got 3-star skills as well. The crossing's average at best. He's got 62 crossings, so he'll probably get the ball in. Might not find the head all the time, but his 69 shot power isn't too bad. 72 long shots isn't too bad, and 60 finish is a little low, but not the worst either for a silver winger. So, and obviously you got that 94 agility, that 94 sprint speed, the 82 stamina, 88 balance, and 93 acceleration. He's going to be awesome running up and down the wing. And then we do have Lucas Anderson. Now, this guy is a little bit of a weird one. I was tempted maybe not to throw him in. The skill stats aren't the greatest, but he has decent passing and decent ball control. So he's probably pretty much going to be an attacking, creative midfielder. 79 vision is probably the main stat you want to really have a look at. You really don't want to get him sort of one-on-ones with anyone because he's only got 36 strength, so you're going to have to use him, pretty much pass with him, and maybe do a couple of skill moves to get around a player if you need to. So watch out for his strength, but he could be a decent passing and creative center attacking midfielder. And we'll move on, and we do have Bruno Fernandes. This is one of the guys I picked out a month ago from the FIFA 14 potential stats. Really solid. So he has 79 vision already. The passing is awesome. The shooting's not too bad as well. He's only got 66 finishing, but that's obviously not that bad for a 20-year-old. And then he's got decent enough physical stats as well. He's only 56 strength, but I'm sure he will be fine. So we'll move on, and we do have Shadrach Egan. Now, obviously, a center attacking mid. 71 vision isn't too bad. 77 shot power is sort of why I chucked him in here. His dribbling's fairly good, and his pace is fairly good as well. But if you just pretty much use he's got 3-star skills as well, which will help. Maybe not the greatest, obviously finishing is only 57, but maybe can pop up for a long shot with that 77 shot power. 62 strength isn't too bad as well, considering he's only 5'4", but his 89 balance is always good. So he could be an interesting creative midfielder for you. And we'll move on to Morgan Sanson. I looked in the comments, and a few people are saying this guy could be the next Cabela. So interesting. He does have 80 vision already on a 20-year-old, which is awesome. His strength isn't the greatest, but he does have 77 standing tackles. So it's sort of a weird card. But he could be a very good sort of box-to-box midfielder with that 80 vision and the passing as well. Decent dribbling on the ball. 3-star skills. Decent enough pace. Not the quickest, not the slowest. But he's actually looks like a decent enough card. So. I'll move on. We've got Sven van Beek. Now, pretty much this guy's in here for his strength. He was sort of one that I was iffy. I didn't know if I was going to keep him in. I decided to keep all of the players in no matter what. But yeah, 80 strength. The standing tackle and that sort of stuff is not the greatest, but he does have 73 long passing. So if you want to sort of start the counter attack again, he could be okay for that. So if you're looking for a young sort of strengthy, strong centre back, he could be the one to pick. So now we've got Tiemue Bakayoko. I'm going to butcher the hell out of that. But he is a centre defensive mid, and he looks fairly solid. Now, this guy's a 75 strength already, 72 jumping, 66 heading accuracy isn't too bad for a 20-year-old, considering he's in the centre of the park. If he was a centre back, he'd probably want a little bit more. But 73 standing tackles, very good. Short passing, very good. Long passing, sort of decent as well. So he's going to be the distributor type of player when he gets the ball. So fairly strong, win the tackles, get the distribution going, and get the counter attacks going. So that's the sort of play this guy might turn out to be. Then we'll move on, and we've got Joaquin Correa. Now, this guy, I looked and tried to find out if he was Angel Correa's brother or cousin or something like that. I couldn't see anything to support that, so maybe not, but he actually looks fairly decent. Obviously, with that sprint speed and the stamina, they're the two sort of green stats that jump out at you. He's got the 4-star skills on the right foot from the left side, so he can cut in and have a shot. The shooting's not the greatest, obviously with 48 finishing, but with his pace, with his dribbling, and the 4-star skills, he might be fairly decent as in a creative role with the 71 vision as well. And then we'll move on. We've got Benjamin Mendy. Now, this guy's actually a little bit of a weird one. I'm pretty much putting him in here for his stamina's good. Obviously, with the high attacking work rate, you want him to bomb up and down the park, being a left back. So that stamina will help. And the 74 crossing's another one. 69 strength isn't the best, but it isn't the worst either for a silver left back. And then the tackling stats are fairly decent as well. So he could be turn out to be a bit of a boss. Now we'll move on. We've got Luka Dordovic. Now this guy is obviously he's a striker, fairly decent pace. 72 finishing is pretty much why I put him in there. The 70 positioning does help as well. He's got decent enough dribbling, not the greatest. But if you put him through with the 61 strength, not the greatest, but with the finishing, you should be able to finish a few balls that come through. So he was another one that I was sort of iffy about throwing in, but I decided to chuck him in there just for that finishing stat. Now we do have Opa Naget. Now obviously another one I'm probably going to butcher, but a left winger with 3-star skills, really great pace, obviously 92 pace, and his dribbling's fairly good as well. The ball control probably could be a little bit better. But a weird side about him, he's got 70 heading accuracy, which is a little strange, 77 jumping, and for 5'11", so he could win some headers that go to the back post, who knows. But he's got decent enough shooting stats, and obviously that pace is going to help him a lot. So I'll move on. We've got Abdul Rahman Baba. Now, this guy's not too bad of a left back. He doesn't have the high attacking work rate, so he's probably going to be one that's more defensive minded. With 65 crossing isn't the worst, so maybe decent enough if you do actually get him forward with the 3-star skills. His pace is very good, 81. Strength is good, and standing tackle and all that stuff is good as well. So a nice dribbling, 3-star skilling, not overly attacking left back. So if you're looking for that, Baba could be your man. So I'll move on. We've got Leandro Paredes. Now, this is a centre attacking mid with 4-star skills, so always good. Look at that shot power and long shots, 79 and 77 respectively. And his finishing is not the greatest, but he does have 70 vision as well, and great dribbling. So he could be a nice creative midfielder and maybe take a pot from long range and might be able to drop one in. Hopefully the 54 finishing doesn't diminish him too much, but he could be very good. Now, this guy looks crazy. Moy Gomez. Not the quickest, but look at the shooting stats. 79 shot power, 70 long shots, 70 finishing, with the 76 crossing and the curve that he's got on him. He's going to be a nice, he's going to have a nice hit on him, and he's going to be nice with the passing and that stuff as well. I wish he had 3-star skills. It would have made him a lot better, but he actually looks fairly decent with the 70 vision as well. So we'll move on, and we do have Rodrigo De Paul. Now, this guy is fairly solid. A left mid 78 pace is sort of average, not too bad, not the best. I only got 2-star skills, which I'm a little bit shattered about. But he does have 81 shot power and 79 long shots with the 66 finishing, meaning he could pop some in from range for you. Now, he's got the 80 ball control and the 74 dribbling as well. Doesn't really go with the 2-star skills too much, but I'd say if you play some 1-2s, bomb him down the wing, you might be able to get him in some space and have a long shot with him as well. And then we'll move on. We do have Brian Robello. Now, this guy is an interesting one. I don't think he's actually at Sevilla. Looking at the comments on the card, I think he might be somewhere else. But if you actually do try and find him, he's got great dribbling stats on him, 3-star skills as well, and 94 balance, so that's crazy stuff. His vision's okay, not too bad, and his shooting's not the worst either, 74 long shots. The shot power and finishing isn't the greatest, but for a cam, you don't really need that, especially at 20. He's going to grow. The only downside with him is his 36 strength. So, but he can actually be a decent enough centre attacking mid by the look of him. Now, we do have Yusuf Poulsen. Now, this guy's a little bit of a weird one. I think he might be sort of like an Ibra type player. 4-star skills, fairly quick, really strong 82 strength, and the finishing isn't the greatest, but that will get a lot better as you go along. So with the dribbling, with his speed, he's fairly quick, and his strength is crazy. With the 4-star skills, he could be just like a mini silver Ibra. So we'll see how that guy goes. And the next guy we do have is Just Van Aken. Now, a centre-back, the strength is fairly good, 70 strength. The standing tackle on that's not the greatest, but with his pace and his jumping, I think he could be a decent enough centre-back. We'll move on. We do have Manquillo. This guy's probably, I only chucked him in, a lot of people do know about him. I only chucked him in just because he wasn't in last year's, I don't think. Obviously, his pace is really good. His crossing is amazing, 78 crossing. He does have that high medium work rate, so that will help with that, getting forward, putting the crosses into, like a Balotelli or a Sturridge or something like that if you're using Liverpool. And his standing tackle is really good, 75. Like, his strength is average, but I'm sure he'll be fine going forward as well. Kind of wish he had 3-star skills, but what can you do? Now, we'll move on, and this guy is Edgar E, I guess. I'm not 100% sure how he meant to say that. But he's a Barcelona boy with crazy pace, crazy jumping, decent enough strength, and decent enough tackling stats. So, for a 66 rated centre-back, it's probably the only thing that's keeping his rating down is all the skill stats. His passing, and that's not the greatest, but if you're just using him to hold the line at the back, medium-high work rates, with his jumping, he's going to win most headers, he's going to win most tackles, he should be a fairly solid centre-back. So, now moving on, we do have Ruben Vezo. Now, this is a centre-back, not quite as quick as, or obviously nowhere near as quick, but the strength is fairly good at 82, the standing tackle's good at 71 as well, and medium-high work rates as well, so another one to sort of have a look at. And then we do have Lucas Romero, a central midfielder with 92 stamina, which is awesome, 90 jumping, which is good. His heading accuracy isn't really that great, he's only 5'7", but with 90 jumping, it's sort of a weird one for a 5'7" guy. But he does have great tackling stats by the look of it, so he could be an interesting box-to-box midfielder once he gets a little bit more strength and develops a bit more, and his vision and gets a little bit more higher as well. So I wish he had 3-star skills to go with his dribbling, but what can you do? We'll move on, and we do have Radakovic. Now, this guy could be like who knows, like a next Vidic or something. I'm just sort of going with the Serbian thing, but 92 strength, craziness, His pace isn't the best. Obviously, comparing him to Vidic, you wouldn't think that. 60 pace isn't the worst though for a career mode. Obviously, he can grow to 65, maybe 70 pace if you get him good enough, and his tackling stats will go up into the mid 70s, I would say. So that 92 strength will go up to like 99 strength within a few years. So that's going to be crazy. And then we'll move on, and we do have Osama Tanane. Now, this guy's shot power is obviously the main stat that stands out at you, with the 4-star skills as well. But that 80 shot power and the decent dribbling stats that he's got on him, with the 73 strength and the decent enough pace, he could be a decent enough right winger to obviously cut inside, have a long shot. 59 finishing is kind of maybe diminishing that a little bit, but he should be decent enough anyway. Now we'll move on, and Brennet is one guy that I sort of had a look at last year when I was sort of playing around with the PSV career mode. Arias, I probably started him at right back over Brennet just because he's a little bit more solid. But this guy's got the pace to burn, and 70 standing tackle now, so he's been upgraded a bit, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really looked at his last year's card. But with the high medium, with the 67 crossing, obviously with the pace, that crossing will go up as well. 65 strength isn't the worst, isn't the best. But the 70 standing tackle will help, so it could be a nice right back for a career mode. Now we'll keep going. Now Sualiho Mate, 79 strength, 78 long shots, and just an interesting sort of holding midfielder. His tackling isn't the greatest, but with that strength, I think he might be a decent enough just sort of box-to-box central midfielder. 69 vision isn't the worst. So I think you maybe just use him sort of like a mini Yaya Toure type of thing, obviously with nowhere near the shooting. But I think I don't know if he'll be so much great as a central defensive mid, maybe as a centre mid, pushed up a little bit further. Obviously the tackling stats will have to boost up a little bit before you put him as a defensive mid, but maybe a nice player for a lesser team type of thing, so like a Football League 1 or something like that. And then we've got Marcel Sabitzer. Now this guy's an interesting one. The pace on him is really awesome, so that's good. And his dribbling stats is really good. 3-star skills with the 74 ball control. 73 dribbling is awesome. 71 stamina does help as well, and his shooting's decent enough. Like the shot power long shots average enough. With the 65 finishing, he could be a very, very solid left midfielder for anyone that wants to cut inside and have a dip on the right. So definitely one to have a look at. Now Andrew Robertson, this guy I've put in here. A lot of people do know about him. I'm not sure how he was in career mode last year, but he did. I'm pretty sure this is the guy that got the team of the season bronze last year, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously, they're going to rate him fairly highly. I haven't actually looked at the potentials that came out today. So hopefully this guy's going to be fairly decent with the standing tackle that he does have and the speed that he does have. High work rates, a little bit iffy because he's only got 73 stamina, but that will grow. So I think this guy could be a little bit of a boss. And move on, we do have Carlos Mane. Now this guy looks fairly solid for a right winger. The crossing's the stat that I kind of wanted a little bit higher in this guy, but his dribbling and his pace are amazing, and his 76 shot power with his 64 finishing could be awesome as well. Watch out for his strength, only 37, but he could be fairly solid if you just burn him up the right hand side and maybe even take a pot with him. So we'll see how this guy goes. Now Nathan Redmond is a guy I rate really highly in real life. I'm not sure how he went in career mode last year, but I did see a game last year in the Premiership where he actually came on as a sub and was the only one that actually did anything for Norwich. He's a very creative player with the 4-star skills, which he does deserve. He uses them fairly well. Good pace, good dribbling. Not the strength person. He's only got 41 strength, not the strongest, but his shooting's decent enough as well. So he could be a nice left mid to try. Now Yassin Ayoub, pretty much put this guy in here for his decent enough all-round stats. 60 strength isn't the greatest, but he does have 73 vision and decent standing tackle and that sort of stuff as well. He's only 5'8", but with his tackling, he could be okay as a sort of box-to-box midfielder when you give him a few years to get going and that sort of stuff. And his dribbling's all okay as well with the 3-star skills. So we'll move on, and we do have Johnny. Now this guy is very, very solid by the look of him. 70 strength, and look at the tackling stats on this guy. Absolutely amazing. The pace is good as well. 78 stamina is decent enough to obviously come back and use that tackling when you go forward. 74 crossing. This guy's going to be an absolute beast to have a look at. Then we'll have a look going forward now. Arkadia Zmilik. I don't know how you're going to say that. But he is a striker. Not the greatest, only 69 rated, as you can see here on the card. Already got 70 finishing though, and 76 strength. Decent enough pace, and 73 shot power. Could be a decent enough striker to use maybe in a lesser career mode or something like that as well. Only the 2-star skills, a little bit of a letdown, but what can you do? Now, Kyle Ebesilio, one of the guys you sort of had a look at, another young Dutch person, the Dutch are producing some crazy people. 76 strength is awesome. The tackling is decent enough. I'd say he's probably going to be a more attacking-minded person with the passing that he's got on him. Decent enough dribbling, 3-star skills, So he could be a nice sort of box-to-box midfielder when you get him going. Now I'll move on to Rodolfo Pizarro, a very solid right back, decent enough pace. The stamina is amazing on this guy. It probably needs to be, considering he has high work rates. So with 70 crossing, this guy could be awesome going at forward and going backwards once he gets a little bit more strength and tackling stats as well. Now I'll move on, and we do have El Cid Hizaj, or I don't even know. But he is a left back with 72 strength, decent enough tackling stats, and decent enough pace on him. So his crossing's fairly solid at 68, so with that high medium work rate, he can actually whip some balls in as well. So get that guy going, it could be fairly solid. A few more players to go now. Now Anderson Talisca, as you can see here, he already does have an inform. Left-footed with 3-star skills and 74 vision already with the shooting that he's got on him. I'm pretty sure that inform is actually a striker, so his finishing's probably gone up on that inform. So this guy could be another one to sort of have a look at. And we do have Fabrice Facobo as the second last player. Now 80 strength, and look at the tackling on him as well. Going to be a decent enough centre back. His pace is fairly solid as well. 89 jumping, he's going to win most headers with that 70 heading accuracy as well. So definitely, he's probably not the one to, with the passing is not the greatest, that type of stuff as well. But he's going to win most of the stuff with that 80 strength. So give him a few years, he's going to be a bit of a boss. And the last guy that we've got here is Sally Uchan. Now this guy's a fairly solid, got solid stats all around. 4-star skills as well, and the 73 vision with those decent shooting stats. The finishing's not the greatest, but he has the shot power, the long shots, and the good dribbling with that 4-star skills that he could be a decent enough attacking midfielder as well. So that's going to be the end of this one with the 20-year-olds. I wasn't really going to put it out because all the potentials are already out, and it sort of may seem like I'm just trying to copy the decent potential signings, but I did find these guys obviously a few nights ago. So I'm going to do the 20s and the 21s that I've already sort of had a look at, and then I'll just leave it. Anything over that, everyone pretty much knows who they are. So that's pretty much where we'll leave it. I'm not going to do goalkeepers because they're already out, the potentials, and I didn't really have a look at them. So I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Obviously, one more episode to go with the 21s tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoy, as I said. So I've been VO, and peace.